Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and it's time for one of our defining matches in the last week of the ESL Pro League. CLG and OpTic going up against each other, and there's a high likelihood that one may knock the other out of the running entirely from a contention spot to be within the top 6 at the end of this week and earn their spot at Dallas. For CLG, this is essentially a must-win because of their own remaining matches. They still have to play SK after this one, whereas OpTic only have to take on complexities. They want to hope that they'd be able to 2-0 this one, and if the worst should happen and they go 0-2 against SK, if they end up tying against OpTic at the end of the season, they would at the very least beat them in a tiebreaker scenario.
How would you know they'd beat them in a tiebreaker?
Because they would have the 2-0 here, and that's how the tiebreaker is.
Oh, if they 2-0, I gotcha.
Yeah, it goes to the way it matches up. But if they 1-1, it works off of round share, I think. Or overall, like, rounds 1 against each other.
Yeah, I see. I never liked the rounds 1 against each other as a tiebreaker, just because it ends at 16. Yeah. So. Well,
I think if it goes to OT, then it just counts it as like 16-16 or something like that.
No, I'm talking about because it goes first to 16. So if you start CT side nuke, you know, there's a better chance to get a better round.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying.
But anyways, Cutler gets on Cat very early. He might have, did he do the Cat jump there? I'm not sure. 1 peeks middle, 3 jump out A hall. So this should be a plant for OpTic, but they're pushing connector. And that is not a plant for OpTic, Blue.
Cutler just has that position on top of Catwalk there and completely destroys them. It's like OpTic aren't even paying attention out towards mid there, just not paying much mind to it. So at the end of the day, left to Nav, who really has no choice but to evacuate out of here. And now, while he may not even be able to get a plant, primarily just going to try to pick up as many kills as possible and see if he can get the plant.
Those are really nice shots by Cutler, first off. But second off, you got to question OpTic's, thought process into how they are going to win that round, because they could just get shot from Cat and Stairs when you peek front triple very easily.
Naf, again, just going towards top mid, trying to battle out the best of his abilities. Gets a few nice shots in on the Finesse and Cutler. Another one on the Koost as well, taking him out. But finally, Ethan pushes for mid, eliminates him, and secures the pistol round for CLG.
Good start for CLG here. Ethan at CT spawn. Cutler killing everybody from Catwalk. Let's see how he gets these 2 kills right here.
He was fighting there, then backs up, and then I think it's moving back out, where they do pay attention to him at first, but it's that second, and then the third one is the player that initially challenged him at top mid after he got his first kill. So it ends up working out quite well for him, and now OpTic on their second round here. They obviously do force into it without the plant behind them. They're going to prioritize utility over the gunpowder, though, as you can see. A lot of smokes, you even get a Molotov coming in on Tarek along with flashbang. So 4 of them are only going to end up on P250s. Just mix well with the Tech 9. As they're pushing in, they've got enough smokes to cover up the site. They're going to be able to, actually, no, I think they just stopped the plant. So good shot from Ethan to be able to spot that. Now Rush is going to be able to push in over here towards jungle, though, taking out Kusta and CLG, still holding back, not wanting to directly challenge this, but they don't need to because they've got the bomb on the ground and are slowly eliminating these players one by one here. Ricky overstays his welcome into connector a little bit there and re-evens it back out to a 3v3. These players on CLG are actually quite low. Ethan at 7 HP. FNS thankfully is still at full HP, but now he's alone and has to try and clutch this 1v3. So how OpTic are able to hold on, capitalizing on the slight over-aggressiveness from CLG, and now this is brought into a clutch scenario. FNS looking to do it. Bomb still on the ground, so he has that under his control, but he needs to be mindful of flank as well, so can't fully prioritize the bomb. Has to slowly lurk back over. Looking over here towards the crawl space to see if he can make his way back in and find a better route out onto the site. In the meanwhile, while he was doing this, though, as you can see, both Rush and Naf have fallen back to the ramp. They're going to hold very secure positioning here. Great ability to trade this back out. And as FNS wraps, again, a lot of time going away. Thankfully, he's got a kit. He's got a decent amount of utility. Has all that working for him. But needs to actually make this play happen. Spots 1 peeking back out, but they spotted him as well. Now they know the route he's going to be taking. As he swings in, instantly shut down by Naf, and we do see the eco trade coming out from OpTic.
The exact same strat that Strongberg showed us, and the exact same strat that they ran against Gambit, Gambit, excuse me, and they win both rounds. So on their anti-ecos, you see they use all 5 smokes. They get pushed up towards jungle and whatnot. They try to get an early plant. Jason R unfortunately dying, but again, they kind of get the fights that they want to take there, and CLG kind of gives them those fights. So that's not a strat you see very often, though. And maybe CLG just didn't know exactly how to react to it. So now they are going to be on the force buy.
Yeah, now OpTic are going to be holding back, watching out primarily for the mid pressure that you can see there, just hiding in like the cubbies and whatnot to make sure they didn't go for a crazy push with like 2 or 3 players on 5/7s to try and stem what we usually see with this fast mid control being taken. After they don't spot much, though, Mixwell just going to waltz right up, finds Ricky in the corner, pops his head right off, giving them the early advantage here, and pretty much allowing them to set up for whatever type of execute they want. CLG themselves have much more prioritized the A-bomb site, and they're basically just going to send FNS in with that UMP to see if he can at the very least grab some intel here. He may find it, but he may also find his death if he's not careful. Rush is hiding out in the same area in his position to watch out for a push from FNS if he decides to go all the way through outside here. But it seems like it may end up being Rush that pushes into FNS in a moment here as he secured the corner. Rush suspecting this, though, so he is checking for it as he leaps in, gets the dink, and then finishes him off as well. And now the rest of the team moves in on Cat to crush, take control, get that bomb onto the ground, and not really leave any hope at all for Ethan Kust and Cutler to do much about it.
Yeah, not a kill you expect Rush to be able to get. Utilizes his movement very well, making sure that FNS probably wouldn't be able to headshot him, jumping off the roof there. I don't even think FNS shot a bullet, actually.
No, he didn't.
So Rush getting that kill kind of just stops that round from ever even being a possibility of a win for CLG, and they immediately save. Now Tarek getting way too aggressive here with this AK.
Going hunting very early on, but just walks into a CZ. Problem is there's 2 more players from the team outside, so Ethan's not really going to be able to proceed forward to pick up that AK and save it. Just ends up falling back into the halls, and again, they're looking for as much damage as possible, not necessarily stacking up their own money, and it's just overall bank here. So you see Jason R slowly trying to push into it, at the very least prevents them from moving outside. There's nothing to be gained by going against this right now. So the fledgling economy being built up by OpTic, and they're not saving huge guns, it's just pistols with armor sitting behind it. So no kills are gained, and they only lose Tarek as a result of going hunting.
Got to get those stats, Blue.
I guess so. Pad it up a bit.
Yep.
But that does secure the slight early round advantage here for OpTic now, as they're going to look to clean up a little bit better. But they still have to go up, like we said before, against these upgraded pistol and armor saves that Ethan, Kust, and Cutler were able to escape with in the last round. Tarek having to go for his own rebuy. Believe he gets dropped the AK. But now, quickly we actually see CLG moving out towards mid. It doesn't lead to a whole lot of success, unfortunately, as we can see OpTic shutting that down pretty quickly. But FNS and Kust at least sneaking 2 more kills, make that a bit more expensive, try to buy down the money a bit, but still, this is already quite a bit of cash built up for OpTic, as we are getting into the first gun round.
No op on CLG, and that is pretty much the most common eco round I say we do see on cash, especially when you're basically full saved, like CLG was. Buy a pop flash, wait until they get anywhere around middle, throw a flash through connector, and just everybody peek from window, connector, cat. Now we see missed cat jump happens, but Kusa gets a spray through the smoke, and Ricky getting aggro mid gets that kill as well. Rush now pushing into underpass, looking for the flank, just runs into a nicely placed one-way. That was really good by CLG Blue. You see how they covered every single angle that they possibly needed to. That one-way smoke and that guy looking there was executed very well, because that's the guy that backstabs people. That's the guy that gets that 2K. And instead, what do we see? We see Ethan just get a complete freebie.
Yep, Ethan has full reign over Rush there. Rush doesn't even seem to realize it until it's far too late. And this combined with a nice spray that we saw early on from Kusta and I believe it was Ricky back over there by inside of the window room and just below the upper part of Cat. We're able to execute the first 2 there and set that up. It's the kill on Rush that really seals the deal, and now puts OpTic into a nearly impossible situation. These last 2 just moving through mid, have a little bit of control. Connector is now going to be open, so they won't have to deal with really any pressure at all in mid. CLG are just focusing on the sites at this point. Now they have this huge advantage. But OpTic, now with NAF out of utility, it's up to Jason R to deploy a little bit they have left. Molly and 2 flashbangs to get them into what appears to be the A-bomb site they're going to try to execute towards. But even inside of here, you still have Cutler at full HP winning in jungle. And a little bit further back by Ticket, Ethan is here too. So bomb swinging over here towards the halls right now, but it's just going to kind of duck into the corner. Naf trying to sneak his way in. Flash hit him, though, and he's found out very quickly by Cutler, so some nice teamwork there. Flash coming out from Ethan a little bit further back, and kill is sealed out by Cutler itself. So now just Jason R at 8 HP. Not going to make an attempt at this. We'll just be sitting back to save the op.
Yeah, without many nades, that's like the main reason CLG wanted to do that push. They don't really have any utility, so what do they want? They want to just get gun battles that they could possibly win, not get trapped behind smokes and things like that. And that's really why they do that mid push, because they know if it's a long, drawn-out round, like, they just don't have the utility to stop OpTic from executing and doing exactly what OpTic wants to do. So they kind of just take the fight to them.
So now OpTic, like I said before, they did build up a decent amount of money within this, this just 2 or 3 round streak that they went on. So they are going to be looking at still full rebuy going into this next round, and they may be able to force up a little bit into the round afterwards, although money's going to be a little bit low for some other guys. Thankfully, they have a little bit of extra cash hitting on like NAF and Rush, so it should be able to make up for it. Getting into the round though, OpTic moving a lot more quickly. The fast push over here, one of their players is going to continue to run, as you do expect the guy to go towards underpass, but the other 3 that are here just keeping themselves quiet, shift walking inside or up close to the apartments, and now getting ready to possibly just go for an all-in push here. But you are going to be looking to just have Ricky and FNS trying to defend things, should OpTic decide to follow through upon this. Mixwell hitting that first shot as he does go out towards top mid, eliminating Kusta back in the window there to take him out of the picture. Opens up another route for these guys to play with. Possibility for an A mid crunch if they want to try and attempt that too. Obviously, the early stack towards B that they might have been rushing into has destabilized itself, and they're now going back much more towards a T spawn area and over here towards the ramp eventually. But still an even split from CLG. They haven't over-rotated. Not that OpTic has really given them much to rotate on just yet. So just sitting in their standard positions and waiting the timer down. More specifically, waiting to see what exactly OpTic is going to plan to do is now more than likely just following it up with a straightforward A execute, and they'll just have Terra come in a bit late into B to cut off rotates. As Jason Hart starts us off, goes right into the site, finds a player with a nade in hand, checks underneath, but has to do a double take, still gets that kill though against Ethan, but will be traded out by Cutler seconds later. Cutler not going to be able to do much, at least to the players trying to work their way out from ramp. He can stop them from planting though because that smoke isn't perfect, and now Tarek will push back in, needs to check this boost up spot, and he doesn't check it fully, so Ricky is able to take out Tarek, re-evening us back out to a 3v3. What's going to be more dangerous now is that Cutler did go back into the site, holding at the opposite firebox position. They don't check forward either, so with FNS getting in the jungle, he distracts. Cutler steals the second one, and that sends Mixwell barreling back to probably save once again and give CLG the tie point.
That was, I mean, why would you run a double fake when you're up 4v5 like that? I don't understand. Even if Tarek is able to like get through the B site, a lot of the time they're just going to watch their back there and he's going to die. I don't know. It just didn't make much sense to run a double fake there where it's 4v5. Another thing that didn't make sense is nobody on CLG even cared about the window boost. After that middle player died, they stayed 2 CT spawn, 2 inside B. Nobody even cared about the window boost. There could have been a guy jungle, there could have been a guy window. Just a really odd round from like positioning and decision making from OpTic especially.
And that unfortunately puts them into a pretty delicate position here now. You can already see just looking at the utility from OpTic. Obviously they get AKs to work with, but they're not really going to have anything to get them into a site. They're using all of their utility to essentially just get mid control right now. Pushing a guy through underpass. They've got Mixwell who's taking a little bit of damage. Kusta being boosted up here. Could probably do massive damage too. And there you go. Tarek out of the running right from the start again. Rush trying to creep his way through underpass as Jason Arles holds control here. So they will get that mid control, but it costs them a player. And they don't have now any, like I said before, they don't have any utility to get out to a site with it. They're just going to have to go for a raw execute and hope that their entry power remains strong. So along with some of the others are starting to move in towards Cat. Take that control there. Rush just evacuating through underpass once again and up towards the apartments to try and sneak their way in. Mixwell looking for the first pick, and he does spot the player over here by the bench, but is unable to execute upon him, so he safely falls back further behind the site, so he's not going to get mollied outside of that position and sent into the open. Kusta hitting the first kill as well. Jason are going to move up, takes out Kusta, tries to swing around to find his opponent there, but there's another one in the doorway. Ricky out into the open once again. The Rush will trade onto FNS. Ricky holds strong, at least until Mixwell peeks him for marches. This sends it down to a 1v2 now. Ethan and Cutler, Ethan, I believe, slowly closing back in on the catwalk position too. No, that's actually going to be Cutler, excuse me. Mixwell wants to grab this kill onto Ethan inside, so he's going to be sneaky. He's going to be aggressive about this as he moves in. This is going to come down to timing. Ethan is checking for it, but he has his back turned. Somehow that's a missed shot for Mixwell, though, and now he's stuck inside with only 20 seconds remaining. Bob's still down over here by bench. Makes another attempt at the up shot, but it misses once more. Now trying to challenge with a pistol, but is outmatched by the M4 at close range. Ethan will shut it down, and CLG take control of a very important round.
That was well played by both players there. Ethan just dodging, playing ring around the rosy. Did a really good job. Ricky, these kills in sight were impressive, but Mixwell's decision to push market there, understanding that there was only one player there, you clear that out, you still have time to get the bomb. That was really smart by him. Ethan just did a great job and played it really well in that kind of 1v1 scenario.
Yeah, and like I said before, this will not break OpTic. They are going to be down on just the basic pistols for this upcoming one, so potential, anyway, easy round for CLG, as we would expect. But still fast control for OpTic, and Ricky's going to hear this so he can get himself a whole lot of kills or a whole lot of nothing. Starts off with 2, now 3 kills as Kusta chimes in. He's got the USP as well to hide inside of the ladder dark room, and so now Rush is going to be left alone. Not a whole lot that he can do. Pretty easy round going by the way of CLG, with Kusta executing the final kill.
Yeah, and Ricky is the person who, for the COG team to be where they are, a lot of that was going to be on Ricky. Transforming his playstyle a little bit to be more of a hybrid, to play this role where he's not like everything's revolving around him in the main opping role. And he's really thrived in it. Just playing very, very well for the CLG team. just super talented too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now OpTic, it looks like they're going to slow it down. They're just kind of spreading out now. It looks like a little bit of confusion. People dropping the bomb back and forth to each other. They have 2 in B halls, 3 in B halls, bomb and T spawn, kind of watching A ramp, and 1 watching A halls. So very spread out. Now they ditch the B halls attempt. Maybe go back to watch mid push. I mean, it's just like,
it's all over the place.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, this is stuff that you should have, you know, thought out and prepared before the round starts. It's very clear to me that they're just discussing things like completely on the fly, and there's confusion on exactly what they're going to do. Now, most likely it's going to be a B fake. They're going to throw a bunch of nades. They're going to have 1 or 2 go underpass, and a couple maybe try to go an entry a B and then split towards A, is what I would guess.
CLG have never really shown themselves to overreact to these types of plays, though, so we'll see in a second.
Yeah, look at the minimap.
Yep.
They're perfectly set up.
CLG's not moving at all. 2 in connector are going to immediately take battle against the 2 players that try to go through underpass. Nap gets the first kills. He moves into A, but Ethan gets the double, completely isolates the mid pressure. Nice shot from Kusta, and he spots one of the last ones in the site. Great shot from Nap, though. And Jason R trying to push back out. He did lose his teammate over on A, and that's the bomb gone down too. So this B player can just sit back in a safe spot. That's going to be Ricky waiting just outside of the market there, so that he doesn't lose himself against Jason R and open up another opportunity for OpTic to clutch this one out. CLG shut it down. Ethan coming out with a nice 3K there, and now they take really good control with a 6-3 scoreline.
Such a sick bait setup for Ethan there. You know, that wasn't him just peeking for no reason. His teammate was right next to him, took contact, and then ran away. But yeah, OpTic, just a lot of confusion, it looks like. You know, if they didn't win that anti-eco, or that eco round, excuse me, we'd be looking at a pretty dominant CLG scoreline, I think. So now it looks like maybe they're going to set up the exact same eco.
As OpTic just go again for the upgraded pistols. This time, at the very least, they are able to get armor behind it on most of their players. Tarek just having to work with a scout. This time it's much more decisive in where they actually are probably going to send this towards, though, with everybody stacking up very quickly in just a 3-2 split. No mid-pressure at all. And this could actually work to a certain degree when you look at how often OpTic have been going for that mid-pressure. And that CLG have now focalized around it up until a second ago. They had 3 players here. Tarek gets the nice first shot. Everyone rotating in from mid's not going to be able to do anything about this site take because they're completely smoked off. Triple smokes denies them entirely. OpTic are able to even push forward now and take control of Ticket. This is a lot of good control they're getting early on. Now they just have to watch out for the retake situation. FNS will move in for a flank on ramp, so that you should pay attention to in about 10 seconds or so when he gets into a position to execute upon it. For the rest of CLG, they are starting to move back in. Ricky hiding on the steps, slowly trying to get Naf out into the open, but he can't take him down fully. Only knocks out about 30 of his HP overall. They even read into FNS's flank, with Jason R picking up another kill back by Ticket onto Ricky. FNS tries to push back in. Him and Kusta both actually pick up kills. Mixwell trades onto Finesse, though, and now just 2 left alive. Cutler getting a very important kill, but then goes down afterwards. And now Kusta, with nothing left to do, he'll be forced out of the site to save and give OpTic a 4th round.
Yeah, and OpTic just doing another A exec there. This time they don't do the jungle and deep connector smokes. They just go for more of the default smokes. You know, top stairs, underneath stairs, and just take towards A. And it's really, the round is essentially won because of Tarek's one, you know, scout shot onto CT spawn. Ethan dying there gave them access to CT spawn, gave him an M4, and then all of a sudden that retake is so difficult when you have to look towards your right and your left coming up from connector.
And so now CLG are going to try to get aggressive themselves. Rush reading into this one, though. Well, just a tiny headshot angle. He's still going to be cautious, though, as Cutler could push up to that. Thankfully, he gets him into the open enough. Rush will punish Cutler. Ricky's still here. And full HP as well, and he even has support coming back in from the apartments too, so basically just going to brute force OpTic outside of this part of the map and try to send them either over towards mid or in the direction of A.
This isn't the worst though for CLG. I mean, it is a 4v5, but at least they have some semblance of map control. Ricky just peeking long B, kills Rush, now a 4v4, and they still have to worry about, you know, like Mixwell right now is going to have to worry about underpass and whatnot, right? So it makes things a lot more difficult. You have to worry about them being in the B halls.
And now Tarek trying to move back up and give them a little bit more control going in here in mid. Trying to line himself up for the jump too, but he's got to be careful. FNS moves in, but thankfully the timing works out perfectly for Tarek. So he's just about to jump up there and check for that one. So another advantage for OpTic to work off of here. No decision in terms of where they're going to take this yet, but more than likely will lead itself into B. CLG are keeping close, watching that at least as close as they can with this little manpower. Ricky at 1 HP cannot peek into the open. A whiff of the wind will knock him out at this point, so he just mollies it off, prevents easy access to the site, and falls back over here so that Ethan along with Kustik, and try to get into better position before he starts to move back in. And Ethan in position, but missing those first few crucial shots, and now that allows for Mixwell to peek, taking him out of the play entirely and sending Kustik and Ricky back to save, as OpTic are going to get themselves another round.
Yes, they will. And besides these anti-eco, CLG has looked really strong, but on that low bot round. So it seems like on their low bot rounds, if you're playing against CLG, you want to watch out for aggression. They're not okay with letting you exec. The way they take a risk and try to make it up is by being aggressive, making it 4v5, pushing, just taking clean gun battles that they could possibly get. We saw an underpass and B this last round, and before that we saw it at middle.
So I know Kusta, along with Ricky, they do end up hiding out inside of the palace area. It should remain relatively safe. Obviously, Kusta firing off that one shot doesn't lead to a kill at all. However, and both players do manage to keep themselves alive. So they'll have that op, they'll have the M4, and with the amount of money spread along the other players, Ricky can drop something for, I believe it's Cutler, that's a little bit lower there, so he would have to get himself a drop. One of the players is sitting around like 2K or something like that, so he'll have to get a drop, but they should be able to make up for that and end up with a relatively full buy in this round.
So what do you think about my statement earlier about OpTic having the 4 best players on the server? Do you agree? Here's your boy Kusta. I know Kusta's like your favorite player.
No, yeah, no, he's been back in it recently. No, I agree with that sentiment though.
Yeah.
I think overall, like just when you look at the core 5, OpTic are a much better team. They just need leadership.
Yeah. Much better players.
I mean, just Rush and Nath alone are insane.
Yeah.
When you combine those two. And we've seen that at many LAN events. Be a relatively quick pause, though, as we did see from CLG there, and now they are back into the game. And like I said before, relatively full buy coming into this 12th round. They do decide to opt for the double op setup instead of just going for the M4, which I believe is the reason why Ethan ends up down onto a UMP, but that's not necessarily a bad gun either, especially on CT side. There's a lot of close angles you could play towards and try to pick up at least one kill before being traded back out, and the double op tends to be far more powerful if you can utilize it properly on CT side. See early on too, Kusta using the smoke to give him an advantage, trying to peek out and counter out someone like Rush over here through underpass, and you can even see Rush for a moment there was posturing up to go for a peek, but decided against it at the last second, and instead just holding in his own regard, make sure that he doesn't get pushed. Smart decision, keeps him alive more than likely. And now T-Smokes do start to work their way back in. CT Smoke as well blocking up Kusta once again, but now he's able to go back in, get that headshot on the Rush, and through Molotov, safely evacuates to the site, securing an early 5v4 advantage for CLG. Rest of OpTic not changing up their game plan with the loss of Rush, still moving in to try and take fast mid-control, and more than likely use this to get over towards Cap. Problem is they leave a huge hole after the smoke, though, so it's another easy shot for Kusta to hit, this time knocking out Tarek. The remaining 3 split up all across the map on OpTic here. You've got the bomb now going back towards T-spawn. It was long B a second ago. Obviously, Mixwell inside of the ladder room. And then the other player trying to work his way out through the steps. Did good damage to FNS, but hasn't been able to execute just yet. Now deploying smokes, blocking off that CT pressure. They're still going to have to watch for jungle, though, as Cutler's set up in a position here. This is going to be very, very rough for OpTic. They've got Mixwell pushing back in. Didn't even check the corner of the steps, though, so Cutler just gets another one for free this time. Jason R trading out 2 more after that one, though, but Ethan coming in from the backside, executes one. Jason R still trying to hold on, out at 9 HP in a 1v2 situation. He did have FNS low, but at the end of the day, it's FNS that will take him out of the picture and once again allow for CLG to take back control of this map.
Yeah, Jason, salvages the round a little bit, does some economic damage. That was a really clever play by Kusta, though, to get that kill. Just gets that free kill of them running up catwalk, not worrying about window too much. Tarek having a pretty rough game, 3-11 right now, but that was a really clever play by Kusta when he got smoked out connector and he goes to the left, peeks underpass. I like that a lot by him.
So now it's back to mid-control for OpTic, and this time they do send 2 through underpass just to be secured about this one, make sure they don't get opt out of this position. Molly's starting to push their way back in, though, and Ricky going to get aggressive. They're watching for him, though, so although he picks up the 1 kill against Rush, traded out a second after by Tarek. Just bringing it down to another 4v4 scenario. CLG are going to continue to get a little bit more aggressive in this round, though, with Cutler pushing into the T ramp. Sees that there's basically nothing there. He knows they're probably going for mid-control and B-Hall's control once more, and they should be able to try and react off of that one. Good double peek into the connector, though, does allow for them to pick up a clean kill there, but Kusta still alive and well within this B-bomb site as he knocks out Jason R and re-evens the player count to a 3v3.
This A ramp push, though, by Cutler is going to give them a lot of information. Probably going to see Ethan rotate over, but Kusta's in a tough spot.
Trying to play close up with the op here. Tarek, even at 2 HP, it doesn't matter. He's got the op in hand now. He's going to move out against it, thankfully, for Kusta. Doesn't check that corner. Picks up another kill basically for free. And basically just have to hold off for Cat now, as those halls are going to be completely open. Naf and Mixwell just holding the same position. 35 seconds left as well, so they are going to have to make a play soon. As with 3 still alive from CLG, there could be a heavily fortified site that have to play against. They don't know if the second player is within B, or if they both stacked out towards A. They're spread out amongst it right now.
Yeah, that's the problem. They only know where Kusta is. That's it.
Yeah, and they do decide to just swing in towards A since time is getting so low. Thankfully for them, they find it open, relatively speaking anyway, and as the bomb goes onto the ground, we should be able to see Ethan call that out, call for the rotates to move back over to their site and get into positions to try and move back in. But they're also, you know, spread out. It's going to take them a while to get into those positions for the retake on CLG, which means that OpTic have plenty of time to get into post plants, and this is going to be an interesting move from Nav. He's going all the way around, probably going to find himself in a position to try and box out Cat. He may just even be able to cut off this player that's in mid right now. That's going to be Cutler. He won't be looking towards top mid at all. There's really no reason for him to be, so there you go. Nav picks up the kill there. The other two are starting to push their way back in from Ticket, and Mixwell lines one of them up, traded out by Kusta, but now Nap has this position, but I don't know, I'm not sure if it's planted for him. It's going to be out of the box enough. Kusta jumps onto the bomb, scope back in, baits him into taking the shot, and with that, Nap is able to peek back out, shut down Kusta, and secure the round for OpTic.
Yeah, very well played by OpTic, and CLG was just so worried about that window boost. They had the player in CT spawn. It just seemed a little bit unnecessary to just not hedge at all and have anybody towards A. But OpTic makes the right decision in that round. We should watch Tarek here. I just want to see if he's going to rush them.
Looks like he's just holding the top mid spots, and CLG got broken off that last round.
What's their money? I'm surprised he doesn't have like a Mac 10 or an ump.
Oh, they're pretty bad too.
Yeah.
CLG was a little bit too poor to force into this one. Well, there would have been reason to, considering how low OpTic's money is, but just stretching the dollars a little bit too much if they decided to do it in this round. So they're just going to full save here and then look to do it again in the next round and hopefully just try to pick up as many kills as possible to keep OpTic's money low. Not going to find anything in mid, however, so they are able to push forward and take quick control of it. Problem is, okay, Kusta thinks he's cheeky sitting in that corner spot. He almost is, knocks off half the HP of Tarek, but it's a quick turn from Tarek and a headshot as well to knock Kusta out. Some team damage causes some chaos. Cutler swings in, gets 2. Fast trades from Jason R, though. Takes down both Cutler and Ethan afterwards. And now Tarek in a second should be able to peek back out and find at least one of these 2 remaining players just in the open. There's one. Ricky been eliminated. Now FNS within the smoke. He's going to try to sneak forward, see if he can knock out the player that just planted the bomb, as he has the smoke advantage working for him. But while he does get that kill, trade comes out from Mixwell afterwards. Secures the round for OpTic, but not in a great way, as they only survive with 2 players left alive, and one of them is the guy with the Tech 9.
And as we go into this last round and a half, somehow Cutler able to get 2 with just a P250, and that's it. And they do have the op on Kusta. Everybody else down to rifles, 2 FAMASs, 2 M4s. You know how I feel about this? I always think you should throw in an ump or 2.
The dedicated umper. Well, now Kusta watching out towards mid here. Tarek trying to push forward, take some damage off of Kusta. He has to check this left side, though. He looks towards it, but it's too late. Ethan already set himself up for the kill against Tarek. That counters out some of this pressure. More of these CTs can swing into mid now as they've countered out Tarek. Rush is going to try to push forward, but I'll have to take quite a few battles to be able to win out here. FNS knocking out Rush, trying to fall back. He does do some decent damage before going down, but they followed up with an additional kill against Ricky too. So now we're even again into a 3v3, and everyone from CLG is currently stacked up around the jungle position and the steps just outside of it.
Yeah, and Tarek just completely separated from his team. Goes into connector all by himself. The other players are still rotating back from A. So just an absolute solo mission by him. Gets punished for it. But at the end of the day, OpTic goes out. They trade 2 kills. We have a 3v3. Cutler, opposite side window, gets a nice freebie. Jason lurking out A. Kills Ethan in the back, and Naf picks up another one at middle. That was Cutler, who was in the window. So now Kusta just kind of has to gamble. He has no idea where what he should, you know, what he should really be watching.
He's trying to stay in this Molotov. Nav has a good position, though, to try and just hug the right side. Stops the F from picking him off. That's going to change right now, though. Kusta finds Naf when he goes into the open. That's the bomb going on the ground. Good flashbang over top here. Allows Jason R to retrieve that bomb, getting himself into a safe position to just plant on the default spot. Now Kusta not going to have that free win anymore just by having a long-range advantage. He's got to go into the site. He's got to make an attempt at this to clutch and give his team an advantage at the end of the half. As OpTic have battled the pack, they've kept it close this entire time. They could very well end up with a lean in a moment here as Jason R pushes forward. He's looking towards the connector, though. So Kusta has himself the free peek, swings out, shuts down Jason R, and that will secure it. CLG are going to push themselves up to round number 8 to close out the half. It's been a close one indeed, but they do take swift control on the CT side. Problem is, OpTic as well gained a lot of traction towards the end of it, so they end up with 7, which is not a bad T side at all. Stick with us, ladies and gentlemen. This is an extremely important match, and it's a close one, too. So the second half on Mirage is coming up between these two teams in just a few seconds here at the ESL Pro League.
ESL Pro League is brought to you in part by Logitech G, Pay Safeguard, Legion Lenovo, Mountain Dew League, and ESEA.
Well, we're back, ladies and gentlemen, with more action here for the final week of the ESL Pro League. It's currently CLG versus OpTic Gaming. CLG holds a very close lead against OpTic right now. In fact, as close as it can be. 8-7 coming out of their CT side on Mirage. And OpTic are now going to jump onto that CT side, hoping that they can take the advantage back and try to claim this first map. That's really all OpTic want to try and hope to do here. If they can claim at least one of these maps, their odds are relatively good to beat out CLG, as they are going to be one of the teams they'll be competing against at the end of the week to try and end up with a higher overall score and remain within the top 6. So if they can claim at least this map, they'll be in a pretty good position to try and remain within that top 6.
Yeah, and I mean, that was actually, I know it was only 8-7 for CLG, but the only rounds they lost were those 2 A execs, right? If they don't lose those 2 A execs and they figure out how to hold those, you know, maybe just playing a full retake on those rounds. You know, after they throw those smokes, they're not going to have any. You have full Molotovs. You could just wait, let them get in position, and then retake together and as a team. I think that's a much better way of playing than half challenging, half retaking, right?
Yeah.
If they don't lose those 2 rounds, we're probably looking at like 11-4, 12-3 half at the very least. So definitely to me, despite the scoreline, I think COG was like, did have a pretty good CT side half. Then again, COG did win, you know, the mid push round, but you know, that's a pretty standard round, right? So Naf peeking in and out of middle from around the stairs. This is a map, by the way, they used to veto when they had Stanislaw. Never played it. Now they are starting to play it.
Well, now we do see OpTic, specifically Nav, as you mentioned, getting aggressive in mid, and he's going to continue that pattern, pushing all the way up to the top, where he's actually going to find himself a bit of a battle versus Kusta if he should choose to take it. But decides against it, just happy with finding that one player. And now moving further back to the bottom. Really, basically the solo player to pay attention to mid-pressure right now. He does have support from Mixwell, but he's way up inside of the window room, so he's somewhat limited to how much he can actually help out Naf in this situation. Naf is the one that has to take first contact in a lot of these situations, and it's going to take a few seconds or a much more aggressive push from CLG to actually get Mixwell into the battle unless he wants to jump out and take it. And well, now we're going to start to see it come into fruition as there's a big push from CLG through underpass. They're not going to turn away either after they get that kill on a Naf, despite being spotted. Everyone follows through. They've got to pay attention to jungle quickly, though, as more pressure is going to be working its way in, both on a flank and just traditionally from holding this position. position. Ricky catching one, Mixwell able to snipe one before they do dive into the smoke and out into the site. Jason R further back by CT finds one more over here against Kusta, and Mixwell up on top of the steps with a second, and then we see Rush and Jason R coming in with those last 2 kills to secure it for OpTic and allow them to immediately tie this back up at 8 rounds to all. With the tie coming back in. Plant seen, unfortunately, that time around for CLG. So they do essentially decide to just force into it now. Tech 9s, Deagles, the whole works along with armor behind it if they can afford it. Obviously, Kusta buying in a little bit lighter because he needs to save up for the op, but it's a pretty quick movement from the CLG players regardless as they do push their underpass. Trying to move up and take as fast of control as they can. And FNS actually helping out quite a bit with allowing them to do this. Originally, we were going to have Naf picking back down over here from the window position to try and counter out the underpass play, but didn't really pan out because he got pushed from up top mid there. So it's going to let these guys on underpass take control. They get mid. They're a little bit hesitant on actually utilizing it, though. So after they do move in and somewhat take control, they actually call for everyone to fall back. And it's basically just going to be a 5-man B-Halls play leading out onto the site. Currently only 2 players from OpTic within the vicinity able to defend this. Tarek going to be getting first point of contact here, who was struggling in the first half. Now wants to do a lot better here, and he's got a UMP with a big flush of players working his direction. Doesn't get a single one of them, though. Eliminated. Now Rush in position to try and punish a bit. Up to 2, 3. Goes for the 4th, but finally taken down by Ricky. Doesn't really matter, though, as he's done his job, and Mixwell will be able to secure the last 2 kills.
Yeah, Rush saving that round. You know, holding those players off, multi-fragging, much needed. That spot sometimes works great. Sometimes you can catch flashes in the face, but the early spot by Tarek helped Rush a lot. Now we see full save come out from CLG, so this should be an easy round for OpTic. Should be able to build their bank a little bit. They're going to try to jump out halls and just funnel out and get the bomb down with 1 flashbang from FNS. That's the plan here.
Now they do sort of line up to get themselves in. They're going to move out. The nades going in, though. Should do decent damage, and OpTic, for the most part, just shutting this one down, not leaving any room for trades at all. It's a clean sweep. 5 kills with none being traded back. Good hold overall from OpTic. Not really being challenged that much to begin with, however. And so this takes us into the first gun round now. We are going to see CLG having their own chance to try and battle it back a little bit. They'll be going up against an somewhat already established economy from OpTic, though, as they would be able to probably force into it afterwards. They are working with a lot of guns from the anti-ecos, of course, and money's a little bit low from OpTic, but building it up and not having to invest in anything else here would leave room for a force-up should CLG take control of this first round here. And OpTic are trying to be a little bit more creative here. We can see the boost up with Jason R.
I like it. Nice way to make it 4v5. 3 players around middle. They're going to keep re-smoking underpass.
How much can... oh, yeah, it's just going to be completely smoked off. That's going to be my next question, was how much could Rush actually see down there. But thankfully, with it being smoked off, that's not going to be too much of a worry. And the rest of CLG, it looks like one of them almost already outside of T ramp as well.
Very slow round from CLG.
Bomb still down on the ground, just outside of T spawn as well, so leaving a lot of room to try and pick up a little bit of... trying to pick up a few picks here if they could get themselves into positions to find them, but these are very passive spots right now. They haven't really gotten aggressive at all to try and catch players from OpTic in the open. Now they'll have their first bet at it, but it's when Ricky has... they're still recovering, I should say, from throwing at a nade just a second before that. So misses the opportunity, but doesn't take any damage either. And now Kusta finally retrieving the bomb and going to regroup at the main pushing force just outside of T ramp. Just under...
It's going to be default A-smokes.
Basically, yeah. With a little over 30 seconds to actually make this execute happen. But you look onto the site, and the site itself, for the most part, is relatively open. All the resistance is going to be coming from Market, or excuse me, not Market, back over by Jungle and Ticket Booth here. Jason R trying to hug the edge of this smoke. Still outside of it, though, and can very clearly be seen, so he wants to get back behind that safety of it pretty quickly. There is a little bit of a hole in between these 2 smokes as well, so we can try to punish it, but just not finding a whole lot. And he's very quickly losing all of his teammates here. FNS striking in for a 2nd kill now, finally able to trade that, as FNS tries to fall back, and the rest of CLG too, getting themselves into much safer positions inside of the palace, underneath of the platform, back over by T-Ramp. Not leaving a whole lot of wiggle room here for OpTic to actually get back into the site, and it's looking good overall for CLG, but OpTic's still going to make their best attempt at it as they do push back in. Mixwell's first up, completely blinded, and Ricky recovers first. Jason R picks up a 2nd kill, but he's already down to be the last man standing, and that will allow for Ethan to push back out, catch Jason R mid-reload, and eliminate him. But CLG once again within 1 round of tying us back up.
Yeah, CLG wins that round with 3 alive, and their strategy really worked against OpTic. OpTic wasted all their utility. They didn't have any Molotovs for the take but one. They didn't have any smoke grenades by the time CLG wanted to execute that. And so, hey, if they're gonna willingly waste all their utility like that, you put yourself in a great advantageous state when you wait till 30 seconds to do something like that, even though you're not even really doing anything across the map. You're just holding. So it worked to perfection.
And now Kusta smoked out initially, so he is forced to push back towards T-spawn there. And overall, that seems to be what everyone from CLG is going to be doing here. Missed up by T-spawn, regrouping themselves and going to be deploying smokes out towards that mid window in a second, along with the other parts of mid. Tarek, in the meantime, though, was allowed to push all the way up to hug this corner, which is not a spot you're going to check very often. So Leashes himself only able to get one, however, as the initial spray is a little bit sloppy. Leaves room for FNS to trade that back out. It basically just brings us down to a 4v4, but it does push most of CLG away from mid, at least temporarily. And it's going to take a few extra seconds off the clock here for OpTic.
I mean, again, though, OpTic, Rush is the only one who has a Molotov. Mixed well with one smoke grenade. But, they have nobody at B except for this one player. Just Rush all alone. Nobody watching Catwalk, really. The rotate's very far away.
Rush spotting the play now, so deploying the molly. Not going to leave any room at all for CLG to wiggle through that. And they have less than 30 seconds to make this execute happen now. As soon as the second volley of grenades comes out from the tees, it should be full rotate for everybody on OpTic, but it's still a little bit delayed as they do move back in. Ricky trying to do a double take there, but Ethan handles it for him. Takes out Rush inside, back over here, just behind the cash register. Ricky finds another kill against NAF 2. Finally a trade on the flank for Mixwell, but the problem is CLG have such advanced control of the site now. There's really not a whole lot of room for either Jason Art or Mixwell to actually get back in. Said Ricky still so far ahead in the market. It's already pushed them back, and OpTic aren't even going to make an attempt at this. They're falling away. They're going to call for the save, and they're going to let CLG tie it back up.
Yeah, there's no rotate for some reason coming out of OpTic. The player in CT spawn, maybe the player that's, under balcony, fine, don't rotate. That's more than fine. But when you see one player at B from CLG in a 4v4, you can afford to send somebody to rotate. You could let those guys fight 2v3 over there. You don't have to just completely just hold your spot and worry about it. You should definitely send some help there. And to be honest, they might not have even helped the Rush on the initial kill, right? But they could have easily killed, I think it was Ethan who just rushed into market, and made it a 3v3 instead of him just having the jump on anybody there.
Well, not only does that now tie it up at 10-all here, but it's also going to leave the rest of OpTic that didn't save with basically no money for a full investment. And that's how they're going to carry through with the buy-on of this round. Just a few P250s, and obviously Jason R and Mix will have the guns saved from the previous round. Split up a little bit more this time too, as quite a few players are being sent through Long Beach over into the apartments, and a couple more hanging out just outside of the ramp. For the most part, CLG trying to move in here relatively quickly. There's a big stack from OpTic over here on the A-bomb site. It's pretty closely knit too, while only having really just Rush and Tarek to defend B, which is not going to be too good as both of them are just working with those pistols. Ethan fought on initially a little bit. Tarek's able to push forward, finish the job, but trade out afterwards. Kusta even has some success pushing in towards A, where the rifles are still positioned. So all three of the pistol players are dead. It's just left to Jason R and Mixwell again with the M4, and now that's gone as well. Kusta's eliminated it, so just Mixwell right inside of market, hoping to find someone peeking out, but right now not getting a whole lot. Might find Cutler in a second, though. And in fact, does hit the shot, but apparently through the wall, or legs him. Down at 17 HP when he tries to creep forward a little bit more. Ricky swings out from the apartments and finishes the job.
And CLG just basically guesses right there. Goes B, they go into the pistolers, win that round very easily. Even able to take out both of the guns from OpTic. And now look at OpTic's buy. I mean, 3 M4s, 2 FAMASs. Their buy is not very strong at all. Not even an op, so they're really missing the op that Mixwell wasn't able to save there. And all of a sudden, CLG's in a great spot. Well, what's their money like right now? Pretty decent money. We have both players, I think, getting aggressive catwalk, so they smoke out B. One player going back now, which is Tarek. And CLG just going very slowly. OpTic using their utility, even though CLG's not doing anything for the first minute of the round, essentially.
Rookie starting to push forward now. Still's the Molotov's covering him a bit, though. That's going to obscure vision for the CTs, along with him, too. But it works out in his favor, as like I said before, it doesn't let him push back up. So he's right outside of this first doorway leading in the actual B-side area, and he spots one of the players jump back up. He's here solo, though, as everyone else on CLG has already fallen back right over to the entrance to top mid. So they're going to be pushing forward to take a little bit of control here. They've got the safety smoke, which lets them cross the top boxes without being challenged by the opera instead of window if there even is any. You can see it's a more passive position for Mixwell now as he's just watching out for them trying to transition this over towards Cat. But they're going for something you normally see at the beginning of a round, not necessarily something that happens at 40 seconds now. CLG is going through underpass, taking top mid control, and just overall the full mid take happening here from CLG. And they're going to try to boost up in the window. Mixwell changing his position to a really good spot. Probably won't be able to fight too well against this push, but oh, Ethan does go for the check on it and finds a small pocket that's outside of the smoke. Now Nap sitting up on top of the steps, able to catch one before being traded up by FNS. They know the scope of this push now, and they can start calling for the B rotators to move in towards Cat. Rush with a great position, but doesn't capitalize on it. Both of those players on Cat go down, and now Jason R trying to sneak back in, can isolate the bomb plant, finds the second one. He knows where the third one is as well, but he's worrying about his own safety as there's only 5 seconds remaining. He's high-tailing it out of here. There's no time anymore for the plant, so Jason R, like a bandit, steals the round. And OpTic will be able to push forward.
Yeah, and an awesome round by Jason R. Not sure why he planted on the right side of triple, though. I don't think that was the best decision. Maybe he was worried he was catwalk. But that should be a situation where COG just simply looks at the scoreboard and says, hey, Jason R is alive. He plays A. Everybody help me plant the bomb. Now, the bad part about that round for OpTic is that they won the round, but they only had one alive. COG has a lot of money. They're going to have a better buy than you, and they're going to have another opportunity to reset you. And if they reset you here, you're going to be in a really bad spot. Just having 1400 the round after. But COG, that round, the reason they lost it is just 5 up connector essentially, or 4 up connector, maybe 1 through window. You're just trying to brute force the site like that, and that's what happens. That's when big plays happen, is because of
taken out, knocked out, I should say, by CLG. Ricky able to respond in his own regard with at least one pickup, but then Naf on top of the steps very quickly counters that back out, leaving just Ethan alive in a 1v4 scenario, trying to push his way over towards top mid. But as soon as he does go into the open, there's going to be up to two players, I should say, waiting for him here. Spotted out Rush. I think he spotted the player underneath of the little porch there too, but Rush still takes him out unchallenged. And OpTic up just 2 rounds away now from taking this map and potentially knocking CLG out of the running entirely for the playoffs. It will be a full buy from CLG on this very important round here. Basically full utility for everyone except Kusta. So you just have your standard buy coming out. They're still trying to just go for these default styles of plays though on CLG. Moving through the smoke. Tarek's already waiting for that one. Ethan did trade up to Rush. And that happened back over there, I believe, right by underpass. But still, FNS is actually able to pick up another entry for himself. Kusta's ready to go along with the bomb to get into this B site. A Molotov blocking their way. And with the guys in mid having a little bit of trouble, they do decide to kind of hold it back for a couple of extra seconds so they can regroup. And actually possibly just calling this away from B entirely now. We'll see in a second. It looks like it's just delayed, not necessarily calling it off. They do have like FNS watching out for flanks. Tarek crossing was a perfect opportunity for Kusta to gain back a little bit of an advantage here, but misses the shot, and Tarek will promptly just fall back and hop behind the site to keep watch against any additional pressure that's working his way. Mixwell gets aggressive, goes through underpass, and is able to find one, but Ricky is there, right up on top to trade it back out, leaving only 2 alive now from OpTic, each being split to one of the sites. And now CLG finally having probably the best advantage that they could look towards. Are slowly going to set up to execute into B. I think FNS is just going to go messing around into A a little bit, seeing if he can cut anyone off that may be on their way over to the other site. Just wanting to kind of systematically clear it back out. Jason R still way over in ticket, so probably won't see him meet much of a contest there, but he's been given free access all the way up to like Market now, and no one seems to be paying too much attention to him, so he can walk right in, knock out Tarek for free. 0 risk to the 2 players pushing outside of the apartments. And with that, Jason R is really going to have no choice but to save.
That was really nicely played by CLG. FNS just getting behind him, getting that freebie in order to really secure that round. And you see how they just took their time. They waited, nobody panicked, they waited for him, and then, you know, that's just a successful round by them. So let's see the money, though. Jason R is probably going to try to get exits, I'd assume, because they do have pretty decent money. So if he does manage to get an exit or two, that'd be great for them. A little bit more passive than I thought he'd be, though.
Yeah, right now Aizlet is hiding inside of jungle, but thankfully for him, CLG are working in his direction. Misses the timing on 2 players, but he could catch Ricky with his knife out in hand, and there you go. Executes upon that player. He knows, or should have been able to hear, I think, the other 2 crossing, but doesn't actually decide to go all the way through to challenge. So just escapes with that 1 kill.
Yeah, that kill goes a long way, though. I mean, look at Ricky now. All of a sudden, let's see, who has to sacrifice for that? I'd assume they'd have to have like an ump or something. Nope.
No, he full bought for himself, so he still had enough.
Yeah, they're good. I mean,
they dropped the gun.
Pretty much losing almost no type of utility. I thought it would go a little bit of a further away getting that kill. Mixwell gets pushed back in mid immediately, though. Has to back out through connector. Kusta on top of the boxes. Very powerful spot to punish anybody peeking window. Looks towards this cat smoke. Sees a little bit of a gap there. Now they just have mid control. Bomb all by itself in underpass. That's actually a misplay. OpTic could have definitely pushed underpass there, gotten the kill, started pushing upper B and got the bomb down. They definitely don't want the bomb in that scenario.
They still could potentially try and crunch on it as well with the positions of their players, but that's changed now. They are destacked away from connectors, so they don't have that capability. Plus, CLG got a little bit more aggressive and started to push out towards like chair and stuff. So now they hold pretty good control in mid. The bomb is in safe quarters. Been smoking off over here towards connector 2. Unfortunately, that's not really a tell that it's going to go towards B or A. Cutler now just trying to posture up to watch out for extra aggression in the window room since that smoke is now fading, but still not finding anything. But OpTic have to be very careful as it's definitely going to end up exploding through the connector in a second, and Mixwell spots the heads peeking up first. So backing up A much more passive spot to play into this one. Tries to peek into the open, but it's actually Jason R that takes first contact and a first kill. But he only survives for that one. Traded out by Ricky just seconds later. Mixwell still trying to find some impact here, but there's really no safe way for him to get into the open, and continuously just keeps getting flashed back out. Cutler finding another kill from up on top of Catwalk, trying to crunch on these remaining CTs here, but they're already set up pretty well, so holding the cap position isn't going to do much for them. Ethan, though, getting a great shot to eliminate Naf. Tarek finding 1 and 2 more, brings his team back into this one, as now the T's have been isolated outside towards mid. So while obviously they'll have to try and get a smoke onto the ground here, they don't have one, so they can't actually block this back off. CLG in really good quarters, but they've got to peek it, and there we go. Kusta shuts down the defuse. Just Tarek left alive now with only 15 HP, tapping onto the bomb, more importantly retrieving the op, and now running away to save.
Yeah, smart save by Tarek. No way he's going to win that. Kusta had a really nice peek on the Mixwell. I didn't even see him on the screen. I just saw him through X-ray.
What? Okay. Well, a little bit of a misplay there, but CLG thankfully win the round anyway. 13-14, they'll be within 1 of tying this back up. But with the money being as delicate as it is, that is probably actually going to hurt, because I don't know if they can rebuy that op now. No, they can't. Kusa just ends up on a UMP afterwards, so that's actually a relatively big loss. As now, not only do CLG lose their own op, but OpTic are going to upgrade themselves to a double op setup. Interestingly, those are the only rifles they're going to have, though, as everybody else is just on UMPs. And now specifically trying to push forward again to play close up over here towards the ramp. Finds FNS, but FNS with a flick shot onto Naf. Takes him down. Jason R re-peeks into one of his own kills, but then Kusta again trades it back out. Allows for an opening with which CLG can move in and pretty much take full control of this site. You still have Rush and both of the ops to challenge against. Rush's first attempt, that doesn't go too well. The nade being tossed in does finish the job. It knocks out Ricky. Cutler's so close to Rush, though, and he has him so very low in terms of his HP. And I think Rush is aware of it, so he's definitely not going to be doing any challenging outside anytime soon. Mixwell coming in from the side, though. Takes not only Cutler out, but also saves his teammate's life and gives a man advantage back over to OpTic as they are pushing back into this now. Kusa doesn't really seem too keen on peeking out in the open, and Ethan just can't. He's completely smoked out. He's been flashed multiple times. They're already on that defuse, tries to swipe into it. Kusa does move back in, isolates one player, and gets the second one to close out. Ends up with a 3K overall. Great stuff. Just barely saves CLG in this round, and now ties them back up with OpTic having a broken economy.
Ethan, the real MVP, man. How does he get that kill? He killed the diffuser. He was just full spraying and strafing out of apartments. But right there.
Oh, he actually, yes, I thought that was Kusa that got that.
No, he killed the diffuser there. How crazy is that?
That's insane,
He just pre-aimed it and was just holding D and mouse 1 and got the kill. And Rush was the one defusing with 20 health.
Yeah.
So one straight bullet got him.
And with that, that basically saves CLG's league lives here for right now. Like I said before, it's going to break OpTic, bring them down. Deagles, P250s, and a 157 sitting on Jason R. Kusta now sitting back and looking for the early peek outside of ladder room against Rush. But at the moment, everything going quiet across the map. OpTic not trying to do any challenging early on. But they really can with these smokes in position. And CLG basically just going to walk in for free to mid to take control here. Now, they're not going to be able to hold it necessarily for free. Like I said before, there's a lot of players in the vicinity of mid that are going to try to challenge it. Not too successfully goes the first attempt at it as Mixwell tries to move back in, but Ricky able to punish that one, putting them into a 5v4 with full control here. Rush still kind of patiently waiting, hoping they'll push Cat, and they may very well do this. A lot more players in the back halls too, ready to try and work their way over towards the apartments. Wolf Rush gets a great lineup, finding one. He notices the second player pushing back in, but it doesn't matter as now Naf comes into support, back over by the connector itself. Rush can line up with an AK blind though, so it's tough to actually spot these players pushing back out, and he doesn't have armor, so aim punch is really going to suck for him. Tarek now getting into position along with Jason R. Already Jason R being eliminated, but Naf trading it back now that he has an op in hand. 3v2 in the favor of OpTic Gaming, and Ricky back over here behind the bench position. FNS is going to get burnt back out, but still swings in, finds the kill into Rush. Tarek trading, Naf with a beautiful shot, and there we go. OpTic on essentially just upgraded pistols are finally going to be able to push themselves up to round number 15.
CLG just losing the most heartbreaking rounds. The anti-ecos, that round. I mean, I'm telling you, I think they play like the better team. They just have these individual errors and things like that. The round where Jason R, won, I think it was a 4v1 when he killed the 2, and then ended up running away in CT spawn and saving. I mean, just these like mental errors and blunders by CLG. have like stopped them from securing this game already.
I mean, it's crazy that CLG secured the round before this last one with like I said, with Ethan getting that crazy kill that I didn't even realize happened onto the diffuser there, which basically just saves them. But then losing out this last one here, and now, you know, the money's not even really going to be that great for a lot of the players on CLG. They obviously have to force into it, but now they're going to have to take it to OT, where it was looking good that they would be able to run the comeback train, but it's not necessarily the case anymore, and OpTic is holding a good position to try and just shut this one down here and steal at least one of these two maps, which is really the most important goal at this point for OpTic. Obviously, securing the second one will make them look a little bit better, possibly letting them push up higher in the seedings, but remaining in the top 6 is the main goal. So once again, our new pause here. CLG called the pause, but it's for technical reasons, not tactical reasons. I'm just waiting for them to clear up whatever their issue is. And as soon as they've done that, we will unpause and go back into the 30th round to decide if it is going to be 1-0 in the favor of OpTic, or if it will tie 15-15 to take it to OT here. Yeah, looking at the buy overall for CLG, it's not going to be the greatest based on the preview that I can see from the other monitor. We have, it's 3 Tech 9s, a single UMP, and a Galil with very spread utility. Tech 9s are going to have mollies and smokes. I think one more smoke sitting on the player with a Galil, but after that, it's very scrapped together. And pause was in, but then got canceled, so we're still in it, and still trying to settle that issue for CLG. I wait to figure things out. It's on pause now, though, so we should be good to get back into it. Yeah, there we go. And you can see the buy again right there, like I said before. They've got basics, they've got smokes for all 5 players, mollies for 3 of them, decent flashbangs and whatnot, but the gunpowder is definitely going to be lacking, and I think they're going to try to make up for this with just brute force. Already 4 players lined up just outside of the T-ramp. FNS originally was going towards mid, but canceled that pretty quickly, and now fast smoke deployment. Molly's even going into sandwich and back over here behind like trip stack box and stuff, so Cutler pushing forward. He knows he's got one sitting over here by tickets somewhere, and just going to take a risk on it. Goes through the smoke. He's got a teammate supporting him as well. It works out. Gets him that initial kill, but they lose a lot of their sight control by doing this, so now they've got 3 players stuck behind ticket. They do have the bomb on the ground. FNS as well over here sitting behind Tetris. Kusta just swings into the open though, loses himself. Ethan there for the trade, evens it out into a 3v3. CLG, like I said before, they give a lot of sight control getting this first initial kill. Now they're trying to get back, but the problem is not paying attention to CT. Nat pulled his molly back out though, and that allows for him to die, and Cutler to pick up a very important kill. No one's checked for FNS, so he clears out this one for free. Almost gets the last one, is now it's Mixwell at 1 HP. Cutler with a UMP just needs to spray into it. 1 bullet is all that's needed, but he can't seem to find it. There we go though. It is going to be Cutler that closes it out and takes us to 15-15. We're going to overtime to settle this map.
It's the brute force A take, very similar to what OpTic did, except when OpTic generally pushed towards the right side the one round they did push one after they killed Ethan. This time they just go through that spawn smoke. Jason R's not ready for it. He gets caught backpedaling, and then I think they got 3 spawn kills that round actually.
Yes, I think so. Because they get their first one pushing, there's a second one that tries to challenge, and then, yeah, this third player also tries to push too, which trades out 1 for 1.
Yeah, so just the brute force A push works out well because OpTic got caught pushing middle. They had 2 players towards mid. Jason R didn't react properly. You know, just get back, Jason. Like, you're playing against, you know they have like Tech 9's umps, right? If you just get back deep CT spawn, you retake together, you're going to win that round.
But it does not pan out for OpTic, so now they're going to be reset, and we do go into the usual OT rules here. MR3, which I think pretty much everyone's abiding by that nowadays. I don't know anyone that still uses MR5. But it is going to be MR3. 10K start. So you need to win at least 4 out of a sequence of 6 rounds to claim victory in the map. And if you only win 3 and you end up tying up at that scoreline, then you'll just reset the scores, and we do it all over again until someone can win at least 4 out of 6. Halves of 3, like I said before as well, and you get $10,000 to start on each of those halves. So just waiting for the players to ready up, and then we will jump back into it. Each team now trying to push towards 18 rounds.
Who do you favor here in overtime, Blue?
I think overall, I mean, this is going to be like a question of the CT sides once again, because it's definitely like a CT-sided map, as we generally tended to see.
Yeah, especially when you have 10K.
Yeah. So it's probably gonna end up like a lot of these overtime games we've seen this season, where like whoever can end up with like a good T side is probably gonna follow through on the CT side and then just win it out.
So who do you favor though?
right now, I'd say CLG right now. I feel like they got the momentum going better on their T side.
Yeah, Logic would kind of say CLG just because I think they played better in gun rounds, especially like full gun rounds versus full gun rounds. But I do know like OpTic players in overtime. I think they're really good overtime players. I think they have the right mindset. Generally, like the OpTic players, when they hit overtime, they like double, triple op. They take risks like that. They will do the cat jump, you know, take mid control that way. Change of pace in overtime. Like I think they're good overtime players, so I kind of lean OpTic that way. But I don't know. These two teams are just really close.
Yeah, it's
they
hard.
Really are.
It's hard to judge how the OT is going to go because I don't think anybody really had like a crazy economy that they could start doing like double op setups or anything. I think I saw like once or twice, but it was mainly because they found another team's op or something like that. It wasn't because they had the money to buy into it.
Yeah, I don't know. These teams are just so, you know, close together. I mean, the record, right, is the exact same record right now, no?
Yeah, they're tied right now. And they're basically, like I said before in the pregame, they're basically going to end up going against each other probably at the end of the season.
Basically the same team.
Mm-hmm.
Very different. CLG gets it done in much different ways, in my opinion.
Yeah, they're both at a 13-9 record right now.
Both teams are a lot better on LAN, too, than they are online.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is like the big matchup because it was like me and one of our producers were looking at it yesterday, and we determined that like the safe number, quote unquote, to make it into playoffs is 17. There's one team that's already there, and it's SK, but there's 6 other teams that can get it. The thing is though, is that these two teams both have to play each other, and that knocks one out of potentially getting up to that number. Because the max that either CLG or OpTic can end up with is 17, and that assumes they both just 4-0 their remaining matches. So if they end up below that number, they'll just be relying on hopefully tiebreaker situations. But we are live now into OT. And we can see originally Tarek, well, he's just going to pick up the first kill. Got very aggressive inside of the apartments.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about with OpTic in overtime. Like they'll put ops in unconventional spots. You know, Ricky's not used to seeing an op upper B. They even pre-smoke upper B, and then Dark just goes and gets a free kill. Those type of decision makings are really, really good in overtime.
CLG trying to line themselves up for just a straightforward A execute more than likely now. They are going to keep Ethan back, I think, to smoke out towards mid a little bit, or just act as a late entry in that avenue. But the other 3 are going to attempt to push themselves up towards ramp with, again, just mollies everywhere, but CTs have them now too, so it's not as clean of a push. And basically just Cutler on his own. I'm not sure if there was a molly that got pushed deeper inside of the ramp and that stopped the other 2, but for whatever reason, there's a huge hesitation. And we don't...
It's supposed to be a fake towards B.
I don't end up seeing anyone else follow through, so that player just gets demolished right from the start. Mixwell closing out on Ethan too. Kusta trying to dip it back in here, but the problem is looks away with pretty poor timing, and that lets Mixwell just push back out, find the shot onto the back of Kusta, and now just leaving FNS alone in a 1v5, only 20 seconds remaining. I think Tarek's already posted up watching for this window push, so there you go. Easy shot for him, and an overall very easy round from OpTic, as CLG just seemed a little bit confused about the way they were going to execute there at the end.
Yeah, I think they probably had that strat planned at the start of the round. That's what they wanted to do. They were probably talking about it. But then after Ricky dies, you kind of want to cancel that. You know, when you go down 4v5 like that, generally speaking, you stick together and you win the round together and put it into a 2v3 or a 2v2, right? And then win it that way. It's pretty rare you win those rounds clean. And I think they probably had that planned at the start of the round and didn't adapt once that happened, once Ricky died.
Mixwell is trying to spot again towards the wind inside of the window room here. He had a small little hole inside of the safety smoke that he could try and find players' feet through and then make a shot into the smoke, but isn't actually there when they initially push, and misses this opportunity too when Kusta's pushed back. Molly to try and force this player into the open. It will work, but he just deploys the smoke, keeps himself in a safe quarter, and now just throws the HE grenade in here. Pretty much misses completely though, only does like 2 or 3 damage. And now the rest of CLG, since we weren't able to see much thrown out by Mixwell. CLG is going to take pretty full control of mid here. And Mixwell will be first up to bat to challenge on Cat. Kusta trying to push back in. Mixwell is distracted right now by trying to toss the nade back in, but no one following through on that. And they are going to boost Kusta up on top. He may try to go back in for the drop frag. Looks in and finds Tarek just in the open though, while his teammate was repositioning. Thankfully, Mixwell is able to trade that back. Resecures a somewhat safe B site for right now. CLG have to push back in these next few seconds, though, as they're getting low on time themselves, and they're not making a whole lot of progress here. Jason R holding for 1 kill to take down Ethan. He is traded back out. This is going to open the floodgates for these others to push back in, but you still have Naf inside of Sandwich. Rush over here in CT. Quick rotates available for some of the others here. Naf just trying to figure out where these last 2 are hiding out, and he finds 2 of them, and now only 1 remains. It's Ricky, and Rush is able to eliminate him as well. Nice, clean round from OpTic, and they're just 2 away from claiming the map now.
CLG almost on the save now. You see OpTic change their setup a lot. Mixwell is actually double opping with Tarek in the halls, and opping around Market. Ends up going jail to watch his cat after Tarek dies. And then they just have 3 rifles towards A, and they're not expecting that sandwich player at all. Again, COG has nobody coming from A ramp or A halls. Makes it a very easy hold for OpTic.
Nade going deep inside here.
Nice nade.
Yeah, does find a little over 80 damage, I think. FNS able to catch this first entry on a Tarek that just walks right in, eliminates him, opens up a potential B. The problem is they're already like halfway into this A execution here, so they have to continue on with that. It's going to cause a little bit of a disjointed rotate from OpTic, but they're still holding good control into a 3v3. They've denied the bomb access to the site, and anyone that has pushed past like the sandwich area has been knocked out pretty quickly. The smoke inside of Connector, denying more of the mid presence to get inside here. And the bomb's still in Sandwich. Jason R watching out for like Palace though, as Ricky just waits this one out until his teammates can get into a better position to support him. He doesn't want to run out solo and just throw the bomb away. So causing quite a bit of a delay. There's still plenty of time left for CLG to do this though, so not causing a huge worry just yet, and OpTic obviously obliging upon that, not wanting to push forward and challenge it. They seem to think it would have gone over towards B though, so I'm not sure if they just didn't realize that they kept the bomb sitting inside of the sandwich itself, or didn't get communicated properly, but for whatever reason they give them a lot of control of the site, and that's going to let CLG in, it's going to let them get the plant and start this timer in just a second as soon as they do put it on the ground. FNS trying to watch towards CT2. He does get hit by that flashbang. Sent back, and they're holding very aggressive positions on CLG's side. You can see them just hugging up towards the bench. Not really trying to like fall back over towards ramp or anything like you normally see. They want to fight this right up close, and FNS almost losing himself, but gets that headshot at the last second. Mixwell moving in, misses what was a very important shot, but recovers with the second one. Rush also finding one more pickup. The last man alive, stuck in Connector, and stuck between 2 members of OpTic. So they will close out and go 3-0 on their CT side. Just 1 T-sided round needed, and they'll take control of Mirage. And so with that, like I said before, we were definitely going to be looking at this to be a much more CT-oriented overtime, as we've seen many times in the past between not only these 2 teams, but a lot of the other teams in the league as well. And that's pretty much put CLG up against the wall.
Do you see how they just you know, Target just has an op there at upper B, and they even pre-smoke it, and little things like that really give you an edge in overtime. And one of the reasons I think OpTic is a really good overtime team, especially going back to when they had Stan as well, is that all their players can just hybrid as well. You see Naf ops, Tarek ops, Mixwell's obviously a great hybrid, Stanislaw was able to op, and it's just, you go on that CT side and you pick up on some of these tendencies, and you're just saying, hey, I'm pretty sure I could just op this guy, and then you just bust it out, or you get an aggro play where you double op middle and one jumps on cat, one jumps in window. Things like that. Like that type of versatility to send your players at different areas and kind of capitalize off the money that you have in overtime makes them a really good overtime team.
And it's definitely shown true. So we take a look at some of the stats here as well. We have, what is this, 4 out of 5 players from OpTic now past 20 kills in overtime, and Mixwell just hit the 30 bomb as well, 30 and 18 with 89 ADR. Now still leading the way in terms of the overall ADR at 90, but meanwhile over on the CLG side, it's a much different story. Still having quite a few players high on the kill, but the ADR is much, much lower, just when you look at the average across the board.
What's the most amount of kills you've gotten in a ESEA pug, Blue?
An ESEA pug?
I'll see if it's more than what I've gotten in a rank S pug.
I think it's like 20-something.
That's it?
Yeah.
The most kills you got in an ESEA pug is 20-something.
Pretty sure. I don't actually know off the top of my head. That's just the best guess.
Wow.
I'd have to look it up, actually. It's a good question. What's the most kills you've ever got in a rank S game?
I think it was like 53.
What?
Yeah.
Was it, how many overtimes?
I think it was 1 overtime.
Really?
I think so.
Jesus. Did you win?
Yeah.
By like... Jeez, it just feels like it would go on for a really long time to get 50 kills, even if it was 1 overtime.
I remember it was on Mirage. Maybe I'm exaggerating.
All right, well, it looks like we're going live again here now. Once again, it's game point here and potentially knockout point for CLG, depending on how the rest of the season goes for them. But like I said, they really needed to 2-0 this matchup to be relatively secure at the end of the weekend. It's not looking good right now, so they need to try and 3-0 this, take it to a second OT, and if not, it's going to be OpTic all the way to take this 1-0 to start, and they'll have to try and battle back on the second map and end up with a little bit of a better scoreline here. Tarek first up to bat here. The smoke's already out. He's going to take control in mid. Not a lot of resistance coming in from CLG, at least out in the open. They do have players sitting on Cat along with inside of the connector. In fact, there's a lot of players here. They do send flashbangs out at the open. Look at Tarek still inside of the smoke, holding close quarters. He needs to impact, though, as they are out. They're trying to restrict it, and there we go. Tarek in the connector, finds one, spins around, gets himself a second. Now it's down to a 2v4. Cutler and Ricky having to try and clutch this back out to keep CLG alive in this event. And they don't really have great positions to do this either. Ricky right up close with the up in hand. Tarek once again ducks below these players, takes down Ricky, and Mixwell sinks the final kill. It's going to be OpTic, ladies and gentlemen, that 4-0 inside of overtime and take control of this map. Going 1-0 to start off the night and potentially just knocking CLG out of the running entirely for this event.
Yeah, but can CLG knock them back out if they win the next game? And then both teams are just out?
So this is the question, right? And this now falls to a lot of the secondary matchups that they have after this one. Okay. Like I said, OpTic has to play Cole, so generally you'd expect that to go 2-0.
Yeah.
Based on the fact that it has playoff contentions behind it too. But the problem is CLG has to play SK. And so they realistically would need to 2-0 that one and then trade 1-1 here to try and end up with like the tiebreaker ratio.
Okay. Yeah. CLG definitely has the tougher matchup there.
And CLG has to win the next map, more importantly.
Yeah. Yeah, so they pretty much have to win the next 3 games, right? To even have a chance.
Yep, exactly.
1 map versus OpTic, 2 versus SK.
Yeah, and then there's other variables too, like with how some of the other teams do and if they end up above or below them. So that's all very important, of course. But I believe it is time to bring our analysts into the conversation. Guys, very close map overall, but CLG lose it in overtime and just get crushed by OpTic there.
Just heartbreaking there if you're CLG. A hard-fought battle, very well constructed, very well put together on their end, but just simply not enough. Not enough, and I think it's an apt way of putting it that CLG lost that because they should have closed that game out in regulation. They had every opportunity. They even managed to make it. They managed to bring it back to overtime eventually, but that's off of the back of losing, Pistol and obviously losing the second round after winning the first Pistol in the first half as well. So pretty much like everything that could have gone wrong for CLG and swing rounds and that kind of stuff did go against them, and they still managed to fight back. So I think Sam kind of mentioned it midway through the game that CLG are playing like the better team, but they're just making a couple of mistakes here and there at crucial points in the game, and that's really what's costing them. And OpTic, they're a good enough team that they're going to take advantage of that each and every time. Well, I mean, CLG closing out their CT half at 8-7. There's obviously some work done over there on their CT half, showing that strong. I mean, it felt good for them, I'm sure, going into the next half. What happened on the T side? I mean, obviously, there's a multitude of things. They found, for the better part of it, actually, like a pretty decent way of going about it. Losing Pistol, obviously not the greatest way to start off your second half, but, once they got weapons up, they did a good job of actually being varied, whether or not they want to go towards B as a unit, take mid-control, or actually just do your standard cookie-cutter 8 takes. CLG found pretty much room to work with for the better part of the T side, no matter what they did. Well, let's take a look at their CT side. I believe here it's going to be round number 5. We've got loaded up for you. CLG getting a little aggressive here on their first buy round. Yeah, exactly. So after losing Pistol, they get aggressive here on the second buy round. And this is kind of, we see it from a couple of teams here and there, but we don't see nearly enough. But just in the span of 10 seconds of action, with OpTic not just being, I guess, respectful enough of this being a possibility, they end up in a 2v4 situation where there's pretty much no hope of them actually doing anything at all to close out the round. So, very solid job from CLG, just kind of getting right into the face of OpTic, not letting them simmer down, just get an easy go about taking map control or anything like that. So that was very nice to see from CLG. Well, even flipping the page over here to the OpTic side of the equation, I can remember one round distinctly where Jason R comes out and makes a really smart play. He stops a play in that A bomb site and is able to escape through CT spawn, defeating the timer. Yeah, but probably the biggest round of the game, honestly. Yeah. And winning a 1v4. And in all reality, I mean, it's rounds like that, it's down to the individual plays like that this game actually came to. Yeah. Because this was a close battle all the way through and through to the end, basically. Yeah, it was, and it is the individuals of CLG that kind of saved them, and of OpTic that kind of saved them in that sense, because
again, CLG, as a team, played very, very well.
Let's take a look now at round number 9 as we do load that up for you guys at home. But that'll walk us through what's going on
So
here.
round 9, this is an example of CLG just being, again, just a very well-drilled team. You can see the fake coming out from OpTic over towards that B bomb side. Bob's already over towards A hall, so this is just meant to create rotations over. But if you stop here, right now, you can see nobody from CLG has actually moved an inch. They're still not rotating over towards the B bomb site. So as we continue on, you can see that CLG's defense is going to be, you know, perfect for what OpTic are planning to do. Even though they lose the first frag from Naf onto Cutler, Nate's there, or Ethan's there to close things out. Kusta finds the one frag he needs to find. Bomb gets dropped. So it doesn't really matter that Jason, as a lurk, manages to find a kill over towards B because bomb's down. Got 30 seconds left and 2 players to go through. And with 10 HP, that's not happening. So again, CLG's, again, being very confident in what they do, or you know what they've set up to do on their defense. You know, not over rotating, just keeping a cool, calm, and collected, really like mentality around what's going on, and actually reading the game pretty well.
Yeah, and I mean, in terms of even when we go into overtime, we see OpTic come out and just slay through their CT side, just pretty much pulverize, nail in the coffin. That's all she wrote. Yeah,
all she wrote, and again, what Sam mentioned, the fact that OpTic having so many hybrid or potential hybrid players that can pick up an op and everything is super beneficial because of the fact that you start to feel out the tendencies of your opponents at that point. When you get into overtimes, at that point, it's not really, you know, extremely unlikely that a team is going to be like, haha, we saved this strategy for overtime, because at that point you're kind of just dumb, right, if you haven't used it initially. So yeah, knowing that, like, feeling out the tendencies of your opponents at that point, maybe being able to pick up an op to get a surprise pick initially might be all you need, and those kind of strength that OpTic are able to play off of is obviously massively beneficial.
Hybrid players, you say?
Hybrid players.
OpTic, you say? Okay, that one was even worse than the first one. Okay.
I mean, you're working your way up the ladder.
I'm on my way up through.
Can't wait for Thursday.
Yeah, I guess so. Look, we've got Cobble coming up next.
Yeah.
Is there any one team this favors more so than the other? I
mean, weirdly enough, you know, I would have expected this to be CLG's map pick, but OpTic are the ones going into it. Not a bad map pick for them at all, but we've seen that CLG have kind of found, like, when they started to get their groove, that was on, you know, off of the maps, like Cobble managed to beat Gambit on it, and Kiev and so on. So I don't know. They wouldn't necessarily have one big favorite here. And again, CLG feels like they're playing the better team CS out of the two teams, and I think that could be beneficial, especially, you know, going into that CT side on Cobble.
So just to reemphasize the importance of each of these matches, we are at the very last week of the regular season. So each of these teams we're watching now vying to try to get their way into those playoffs in Dallas. Yeah. I could tell you to go get your tickets at proleague.com/Dallas, but I'm not going to do that. So don't go to proleague.com/Dallas and get your tickets. That would be not what I want you to do at all. Anything like that.
No, but you could go to.
But you could go. Where could they go?
proleague.com/Dallas.
All right, there you go.
Yeah, so
well, if you want them, head over there. Now, we're going to be going into Cobble. We're going to go to a quick break, though. When we come back, it's going to be a little bit more of Counter Logic Gaming, and a little bit more of OpTic.